All right, guys. Today we're on the couch with a bloke that I've been following across the internet for years now, and then recently he's just taken the internet by storm. It's KALE MAKEHAM.
How you going, mate?
Thanks for sitting down and having a chat.
My pleasure, mate. I've got to thank you. You've driven all the way down from Queensland on your way to Melbourne and dropped in. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, I'm only coming down here for this.
Yeah, that's what we tell everyone.
Yeah.
Fucking not that big of a deal.
Yeah, mate, buddy. Look, you've taken some turns over the internet, and it's been very entertaining to watch. Whether it's racing bikes in the past, giveaways, stunts. Yeah, let's get into it and sort of recap what's been going on and who you are, what you've done, where you sort of started off with, obviously racing, and yeah, let's get right into it.
Yeah, for sure, mate. Well, I guess we go back to the roots of it. It starts off with my grandfather. He owned a bike shop back in 1956, I believe.
Gee.
Yeah, so basically back when bikes were invented, pretty much. And then he always was into bikes, but he never raced himself. My dad come along. Now, he'll tell you he was the fastest and the best around, but I don't believe he actually raced either. But he used to work at the bike shop. He was always into bikes. And then when I come along, basically since age 4 years old, I reckon.
Yep.
Been behind a set of bars and on two wheels and raced the whole time, rode for fun. There was probably, I often think back on this, there was maybe, on average, I'm going to say I rode 4 days a week for 20 years of my life straight.
Yeah.
Other than when I had injuries. So basically just been on bikes my whole life and race and loved it.
It's a committing full-time job, and you're not even out of school yet, really. Like,
yeah, well, I was quite fortunate. Like, I grew up in the country, so you go riding before school, you go riding after school, you can ride to your mate's house, you can go through the bush, and it was sort of, it was like a lifestyle more than a sport. And then we started getting into the competition side of it, and that basically just took me.
just went for it.
Yeah, 100%.
So where did it start off with racing? Like, obviously, you grew up around these areas, like, basically, so Echuca way, so Miami.
Yeah, so I grew up in just a small little town, Kundrook. I think the population, I should probably know this, is like, it's got to be under 1,000. Small.
Yeah.
Like, it's got a pub, post office, and that's it.
That's it.
Small town. Yeah, so I grew up in a small town. Always just rode the bikes for fun. And then I got into racing. They started a local club there. I actually remember this memory quite vividly. My dad, I did a race, I did all right, and I still remember it like clear as day. I don't know why. It's probably like one of my first ever memories. My dad got down in front of me, kneeled down, and said, "Hey, mate, did you know they do other races like an hour up the road?" Yeah. I was like, "Do they? Really?
Yeah.
Cool." He said, "Do you want to do it?" I said, "Yeah, sure." So that was Swan Hill. That was my second ever race. That was a regional event. And basically, like, I was so fortunate as a kid. I had the best parents in the world. We would have spent 35 to 40 weekends a year on the road racing bikes, going to tracks, going to coaching schools. My mum would take me to coaching schools. My dad would take me to events. And that was basically from age 7 till 16. So.
Yeah. So was that just something that just started off as like, hey, there's a track, let's go try it out, a bit of fun, or is it something that just slowly progressive? I'm watching these guys on TV, I'm seeing these guys all over the world doing it, I want to do that, or?
Yeah, so my parents have always been, they've always sort of not asked a lot of me, but you have to do something basically.
Yeah.
So whether it was playing an instrument, doing sport, going to work, whatever it was, like you had to be productive and busy. And I chose that path of motorbikes. I had quite a passion and interest in it. And then my parents basically just backed me 110% with that. So it was, I wouldn't say they were like the, like the mini bike parents as they call it, or the strict parent, but it was like, hey, you want to do this? We're all in with you. Yeah. And basically from then on, that was it, mate. That was all we did. I never did too well as a kid, to be honest. Like, I still remember this. I never finished in the top 3 at a national title as a kid. I finished 4th about 5 or 6 times. Yeah. And then from there, I was always sort of like a 5th to 10th place rider. Always had aspirations of being better, but yeah, that was what we were. So.
That's racing. So.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Like, it's funny. I look back now, like I remember it always used to shit me as a kid because I never finished in the top 3 at a national as a junior rider. And it used to irritate me so much. I just wanted to get a top 3 once ever. And looking back now, like, it was probably the best thing because it gave me the hunger and desire in my later career that I think other riders maybe didn't have a little bit. So as soon as I got out of those junior ranks, it took a step up and started to get a whole lot more serious, probably around the age 17, 18 years old.
So when you start jumping in those senior classes and really it starts to become, this isn't just a bit of fun anymore and taking it out on weekends, we're doing this to make a career, make a living, make money and try and get that podium with whether it's sponsors or... anything like that?
Yeah, it was. My parents made me a deal. So I was a prick of a kid at school. Prick of a
Yeah.
kid, right? I used
I
to
was
wag
much
all
the
the
same.
time. Yeah, I just no good. And I think I was in year 8, I believe. So I would have been around maybe 16, 17 years old. I used to hate going to school. I'd wag all the time. And mum and dad obviously seen I wasn't putting in much effort there. And they made me a deal that if I left school on Wednesday, I could go to work on Thursday.
Yep.
And that was what we did. So from year 8, I left school, went to work. And then basically from then on, it was like I was just working so I could knock off and ride my bike.
Yep.
And the support from my parents sort of stopped around that age. Like once you're working, if you want to race, it's up to you.
Yep.
And that was sort of when that desire picked up, probably more so from there on. And sort of, I knew I didn't want to work. So I love racing bikes.
Yeah.
And now it was like, fuck, if I'm going to do it, I have to do it. Like you got to be all in on something like that. And that was when it stepped up from there. So
It's funny, like I sort of had a similar experience growing up on the farm, racing bikes. Joined my first club day on a 65.
Yep.
I came second. There was 2 people in the class and got lapped twice.
Yeah.
Like and then as I sort of grew up, I got better and better like those later junior years. And then as pretty much once I got to seniors, it was like, you're working a job now, you want to race, you pay for it yourself. And that's when it turned into, I'm doing it for fun. Because I realised there is a very few good riders that make a good career in Australia, let alone in the world.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not going to be me. And I enjoyed riding enduro on the weekend. Like, you go out, ride 6-7 hours at a time on a Saturday morning and you're back in. But you go to the race day, you get 3 10-minute motos, 20-minute motos, whatever it might be, and you're sweating your ass out. And it's a dedication that a lot of people don't realise. So.
Yeah, it's a very physically demanding sport, and probably not so much like people think of the physicality of it, but even just the financial side of it, the time of it. Like it's not like you can just go down the local footy oval and play and you're home in 5 minutes and it's done. Like you got to go wash your bike, you're doing air filters, you're doing oil, you're loading up, you're unpacking. Like it's quite intensive. And although I loved all of that, I just had the personality. It's all in or not at all. So I worked until I was about, I reckon, 18. So from 16 to 18, full time with dad. And then I still remember this day vividly as well. It's like one of those moments. I was still finishing 4th, but I believed if I could just, no school, no work, just ride and train, I reckon I could win.
Yep.
And it must have been around August of 2012. I said to dad, look, I remember I had tears in my eyes. I said, I don't want to work anymore. Like I want to have 3 months off. I'm all in. I want to win. I want to do everything I can. And lo and behold, he was all good with that. And I think it was 4 months later, I won an Australian championship, picked up a factory ride, and off we went.
Yeah. So you won a championship under a privateer name, right?
Yeah, so I went from the kid always finishing 4th, like I'd still never finished in the top 3 at that point, to winning an Australian championship on a privateer bike out the back of a ute, and picked up a contract from there, and off it went. So it's kind of, when I look back on it, like I was always held back. And when I finally went all in and just said, we're doing it, that was when it started to pay off and actually worked out quite well.
So where'd the career go from there? Like with, once you win a championship, go factory, pick up sponsors, all that, that's obviously going to the next level. Like you're really all in. You've got sort of everything to lose in a way at that point. Like you've earned your spot. Now you've got to keep it. And like, I know there's more stuff where you've gone overseas and all that sort of stuff. Like where to go from there? Where to progress?
Yeah. So it's a cutthroat sport. If you're not in the top 3,
you're just another guy on the start line.
100%. You're making $0. Hopefully you got mum and dad's support, because you're not making any money and you're not doing it full time, sort of thing. So you have to be in the top 3 to make it work. And then that's where I was very fortunate. From 2012 to probably 2015, I was in that top 3, and I was able to wake up every day and try and improve myself as a rider and go faster on the bike. And that was some of the best days. I loved every minute of it. Sorry. And from there, so I picked up a factory KTM contract. Went in the next year, we stepped up to the Pro Light class. I finished runner-up that year. Contract got stepped up again. And then I had a couple injuries after that, picked up a factory Suzuki ride, had a few trips overseas here and there. But I'd say the best results in my career was the Australian Supercross Championship. I won an Indonesian Supercross Championship, finished runner-up in the motocross, some state titles. And then I always tell everyone, like, the results are cool, but the experiences and just that lifestyle was, it's second to none. Yeah.
It's a full, like the race community is a full blown, it's just a family in the good way. It's a family. There's so much competition with the right and wrong people, but it's like some of my best mates I grew up with were motocross.
Yep.
So it's a great way to grow up. Like depending on where you are around Oz, like you just meet people everywhere and it's just motocross.
Yeah, 100%. It's funny. I'm actually getting married soon, and like
Yeah.
95% of the people there I've met through motocross.
Yeah.
I was thinking the other day, and like 5% are from school, which is pretty cool. But yeah, no, you're so true. And I think sports is it's like a vehicle for life lessons, and it's a great way to learn what to do after sport. And I think motocross it's got to be one of the best vehicles there is to learn things about life. Like it's a solo sport, so you're accountable. You're constantly weighing up risk and reward. Sorry, mate, I got something in my throat.
Let it out.
I'll have to cut that one out. Yeah, the community of it, the aspect of it, the risk of it, the accountability of it. You have to work hard. It's a great sport to learn things through, and then the community of it too. Like it's a pretty small industry. Like it's small when you look at it on terms of like compared to footy or basketball or cricket or anything like this. So you do get to know some people pretty well, and you form good relationships. And probably the most striking thing about motocross is the highs and lows. Like you can go from winning national races, making 10, 15 grand a weekend, to I had one of the worst injuries in my career, just 2 meters out of a start gate at walking pace.
Yeah.
Blew my shoulder out. That's it. And then you no income for a year, sort of thing, because it's all so results based. So you're going through those highs and lows with your team as well. Like they're driving there with you. And some of the best experiences and things I had from racing was when you won. Everyone you're with won as well. So whether it was your team, your mechanic, your manager, your mum and dad, your mates, everyone's happy. But then it also had the vice versa as well. So when you didn't do good and things went wrong and you had injuries, same thing. Everyone was going home bummed. So you have it's like a roller coaster effect like that, because it is a solo sport and it does have so much risk to it. But like anything, if there's risk, there's a reward, and that's how it goes.
Yeah, bigger risk, bigger rewards too. So
100%, mate. Like I loved it. Yeah, like it's absolutely unreal. Yeah, to be able to do that for the years that I did, I look back on it all the time with fond memories, and yeah, I've been so fortunate to be able to do that.
Yeah, there you go, bloody awesome. So going from racing, like obviously as a quick catch up, so what's happened between your full racing career to now? Like obviously there's been years in that and different projects, things that you've come out with now, and yeah, like what are you up to these days, I suppose?
Yeah, it's a broad question. So basically I raced, lived my dream, loved every minute of it. I had a few pretty bad injuries towards the end, so I think, probably shouldn't say this on camera, but there's 25 concussions.
Jeez.
Towards the end, yeah, heaps. Yeah. And that was actually what I'll admit it scared me out of the sport. Yeah. The final concussion I had like a headache for probably 3 months. Yeah. Like popping Panadols every single morning, and didn't really know what that sort of stuff was and until that. And I fractured my pelvis, femur, 4 shoulder surgeries, tailbone. Sorry. I swear I'm not getting emotional. I've got something in my throat. Had a heap of injuries. And then mainly it was the concussions that turned me off it. So left the sport there, and they say athletes die twice. Once when they retire and once when they expire. Yeah. And again, we spoke about the highs and lows. Like during racing, loved it. It was the best experience ever. And then immediately after that was, I'd say, the lowest point I ever had. Like I went from living every kid's dream to being like, fuck, I'm 25. I've got no life experience. I've never really worked. Like I've got no money. I'm in debt. My body's broken down. I didn't really have much of an idea on just normal general life. And that was where I had a couple of rocky years after I left racing. So it got pretty sticky there for a bit. There was a while there I was my parents got divorced, so I wasn't really close with my mum or my dad at that time. Like I didn't speak to any family for probably a year or two, and that was right when I left racing as well. And basically I was bitter at the world, to be honest. And that led to some sort of rougher times there. Like I was sleeping in my van for months, or just living in a lady's garage and sort of not really knowing what to do with myself. And then from there, slowly started to get myself back together and got a good job, bought a house, and went down the business road of things. And it's picked back up from there. But yeah, it was an interesting time going from those ultimate highs to, I mean, we can get into it, but yeah, some of like the lowest lows that it's just not. Yeah. It was an experience.
There's stuff that people don't see when you're standing on top of a podium each weekend, like.
100%, mate. But you do see it with athletes. You see it a lot. Like you just seen it with Ian Thorpe the other day. Like he's going through it, and they have a bit of like an identity crisis. You sort of you go from being the man and like every time you have a conversation with someone, it's about you and your bikes and your results and everything's based off what you did on the weekend. And then you go to just, not that it's bad or anything, but you just go to normal life. And it's like, who am I now? Like I'm not.
It's almost like it's like an after event sort of like depression. And like I've seen it, I've had it before. Like you'll have probably the best weekend event, you're with all your mates, and then you go home and you're sitting in bed by yourself and you're like, what the fuck am I doing? Like it's a weird way of putting it, but it's just like it happens. And I think everyone's seen a little part of that themselves.
Yeah.
Like, and it's tough. And only you know how to really deal with it at the end of the day. Like,
yeah, no, you bring up a great point. Like if you're out partying, having fun with your mates and you're the life of the party, and then, you know, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday rolls around, it can be pretty depressing. And I guess leaving sport like as an athlete and then going into like your post-life career, it's probably like that just magnified, doing like 5 years and then out you go, basically. So that was an experience. That was interesting. Yeah, fuck, I learned a lot during that time. So
so going from there, like finishing racing, and then now you've basically just jumped into social media as a full-time career, really. Like it's you've got, I want to talk about like MWMX. You've bought a new coaching app for motocross industry, which I think's amazing, because back when I was racing, if you wanted to learn motocross, you had to go hire a private trainer who you're only learning off them. There was still Moss Institute around and that at that time. Like that's going back a little bit now. So like, what's your game plan now with, you know, everything you've done with MWMX and the coaching app coming out? And how's that been?
100%. So I'll rewind a little bit, but basically, went through the shit for a bit. Got a few jobs and then started a concrete business, did that for a while, and that was fantastic, but I figured out that bikes are my passion. And so then here I am, I've got back into bikes, and as you mentioned there, we're started up MWMX, which I'll give a bit of a backstory to. Everyone always asks me, what the hell is MWMX? And it is a bit of a tongue twister, but my grandfather, who I mentioned earlier in the podcast, he basically, like, he was born an orphan, and he ended up revolutionizing an industry and had a heap of staff and did really, really well for himself. And he found himself in a bit of a predicament with the government where they shut him down for what he was doing. It was, you know, a green thing with the forest. He was in the red gum industry, and he started it back up as might burn firewood.
Right.
As like a bit of a joke, might burn. Obviously, they'll burn firewood. And MWMX means might win MX. So I started out giving away bikes, and I thought, might win, that makes sense. Started doing that, and that's cool. Like it's doing the trade promotions. I actually started doing giveaways back in 2021 for charity. So right back at the start for the Blue Tree Project, did that for a little bit there, and that was sort of before it become this fad that it is now. And then started going down that road. So I think now we've given away 34 bikes. There's things going on there everywhere, but that's sort of always say, like, I don't want to be the giveaway guy, because, you know, there's value for the person that wins, but for everybody else, there's, you know, that it's a chance sort of thing. Like, obviously, you know, the way that works is you buy a product, but, you know, I feel like my goal is to be a net positive for the sport of motocross. Like, that's my overarching goal. And giveaways are a fantastic stepping stone to that, because they can bring in so much attention. They're a lot of fun. You can build an audience. But what I really want to do is the coaching app. So as you mentioned there, we brought out the coaching app now, which, look, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I'm hoping we can sort of, you know, lower the barrier for entry to kids that do want to race. So at the moment, it's pretty difficult to get into the sport. Like by the time you do your Kickstarter and your endorsement and you find a coach, and you got to figure out how to do it all and all that sort of stuff. So I'm trying to basically build an app that's like a skills-based assessment for motorbike riders. And you can submit your footage, get scored, get assessed, and hopefully here maybe sometime in the future that'll sort of replace the current curriculum and endorsement system that the Australian Motorcycling Governing Body uses. And that's my number one goal. I'd love to do that. And then obviously over time recruit and retain more riders into the sport. Like that's a goal that I really want to do. The trade promotions help facilitate with that. And then what I'd love to do after that is get some in-person venues and just keep on coaching and having fun and just being connected to the sport. I'm obviously not an athlete anymore, but it's cool to, you know, stay connected somehow. So
give back something after your own career to the people coming up into their careers.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Like, I think motocross is the best sport in the world, and I'm obviously biased, but like if you go back 1,000 years, like what were they doing? They were riding around on horses with their mates. Like
they were still racing.
Yeah, like this is what you were doing. Like it was blokes out in nature on the high powered vehicle of, you know, fucking whatever it was, 1000 BC of horses, and you know, and then we've evolved since then, and we have these machines, but now we go out on our bikes and have fun, and it's just, you know, it gets a little bit trickier to do in the modern age. But I think, yeah, anyone that does it, once you ride once or twice, you're pretty well hooked and addicted forever. So yeah, if I can encourage more people to get on bikes and not just get on bikes, but not get injured once they're on them as well, that's basically what the coaching app is all about at the end of the day. Yeah,
like proper techniques, all that sort of stuff, and just familiarising people with bikes and what they're doing, riding. Because I know, like, when I started riding, I would have been the biggest C-grade goon you'll ever see in your life. Like, and it's just years. It's like the saying of, like, 10,000 hours of racing, you'll eventually get good at something. Like, 10,000 hours of practice, you'll become a professional. So is that sort of the same in a roundabout ways of where you're getting at? Like, give people that kickstart instead of sort of progressing that first 1,000 hours.
Yeah.
Like, this is what you got to do right to cement it, and now you can go memorize it.
Yeah, 100%. No, you're spot on, and that is the thing with motocross, is that it's probably one of the more dangerous sports there is, yet it's one of the most undercoached sports there is.
Yeah.
Like, if you just look at it in terms of, like, just by its nature, the frequency of it, you can't learn it as often as you can learn footy or cricket or swimming or basketball or dancing. And then if you look at the cost of it, it costs more. And then if you look at the quality of it, there's not as many coaches available to get coaching from. If you look at the time it takes, you can't just go down the footy oval, as we said. Like, you've got to plan half a day or a day. So just by nature, less riders get coached just because of that you know, those friction points to get in, the pain points. And then it has the highest consequences. Yep. So basically, I sat down 12 months ago. I was on a trip overseas, and I sort of started out on this mission of trying to figure out how I could be a net positive to the sport. And I thought, got to make it, you know, got to remove those pain points to getting coaching, or that's how I can benefit it anyway. And what I come up with was the app. So basically now riders can get, like, individualized one-on-one coaching just by submitting footage. You can do that anytime. It's a tenth of the price. It's frequent. You can do it every day if you want. And it just lowers that barrier of entry, and it makes those friction points a lot less. And hopefully over time, like, it's a bit of a different concept. I know people love to do the in-person stuff, and we'll certainly do that. But I guess it's more of like an option where if you do have that desire and you do want to get in the sport and you do want to make sure that you're competent at it, you at least have that option now. Where it sort of never existed in the past. And it's exactly as you said. Like, I've never ever in me 25 years of riding bikes seen a rider that could go really quick but didn't have skills.
Yeah.
And I've never seen a rider that didn't have skills but could go really quick. Like, they just correlate. Now, you can practice your skills absolutely anywhere. You can go in the backyard, you can go in the car park, you can go in the driveway and just do slow speed skills, like things like fine movement control, your body positioning, your controls, your vision, your synergy, all these sorts of things. Like, those can be practiced similar to what it is in footy. I don't play footy, but I guess you practice doing a handball, or you practice doing certain things.
That's it.
You can do that in motocross. There's just sort of never been that framework for it. So
yeah, we had a very sort of similar thing. Like, I was always told, like, I talk like I was a first grade rider, but I was nowhere near it. I was never professional, but I was always told, like, smooth as fast, little techniques, like corners, breakings, whatever it was. Like, growing up with some of the boys in Wagga, it was, you get to see some of the best people ride, and they'd come out to the farm and they'd ride all through the valley and that, and you'd be just gobsmacked at what they could do. And eventually you just watch them, chase them. It's like, if they can do that on the track, it doesn't mean I can't do it. I just got to learn how to do it. And it was exactly like that. And we started off, like you say, little things to just practice was like just circle ruts. Go hit the same jump 20 times, go hit the same corner 20 times, hit that whoop section 20 times, and then eventually just go do a lap of the track. Like, it was just all the little things of practice, bike balance, do a whole lap of the track standing up, your first 2 laps of the track standing up only. Like, everyone's got their million different techniques for how they ride and learn and progress.
Yeah, 100%, mate. No, you're spot on. Like, if you can narrow in on those things, and ideally the things that you want to narrow in on are the ones that are your weaknesses. So wherever you lack, like, maybe it is your standing up position, or maybe it's you're not very good with your back brake, or maybe you're not very good with your clutch or your vision, or whatever it is. And then you want to find those exercises that can enhance your skills in those areas and exploit them as much as you can. And then you fix that, and then you go, what's my next weaknesses? And there really is like a science and a method to it, and it's not too different to how you do anything, really. You just find your weaknesses, you fix them, and and you move on. And yeah, that's basically what the coaching app is in its essence. And yeah, it's just funny in motocross, like it's traditional coaching, which me saying this, if you're from another sport, you're like, duh, like what else, how else are you supposed to get better? But in motocross, it's twist the throttle, go fast, have fun kind of thing a lot of the time, because that coaching, it's just not as common knowledge. Like, could you ever imagine someone, say, wanting to play footy on the weekend but not go on the footy coaching during the week? You just wouldn't do it. But if you didn't do it, you probably have no idea what to do. Like,
exactly.
At least you had the internet. But
it's like people sit there from the outside, or they're on their couches and they watch footy or motocross and they go, I could jump on a bike and do that.
Yeah.
Fuck no. Like it's never that easy. Yeah, like people just go, oh, you just jump on a bike and go. Like, nah, it's not that easy. Like I could probably jump on a bike now and go do a hot lap of a track, but 10 years I'll probably used to be able to do a 30-minute moto. There's no chance of me doing that now. Like there's fitness, endurance, skill, and like that's the same with athletes, whether it's Olympics or whatever it might be. You dedicate yourself to it, you practice, but where motocross, like you say, when you come into it, you can't head down to the local arena or footy field or whatever, or the cricket nets or whatever it might be. You've got to go to a motocross track where there's, or your mate's farm or whatever it is, where you don't have the best facilities. It's not always perfect. And anyone can go in and buy a bike out of the shop or off marketplace, whatever. But it's how do you utilize it? Where do you go ride it? Where's is it safe? Is it controlled? Is it just random? And the cost. That's another big one too these days. So.
Yeah, no, you're spot on, mate. So yeah, hopefully we can lower a few of those barriers, maybe make some what would seem common knowledge a bit more common, and I'd love to recruit more riders in, like bring more in, which I think that there's a desire for people to get into the sport. I definitely see that. Like there's a lot more people in the sport, I think, than people realize. Like racing's the tip of the spear, but I think it's like, I'm going to say it's probably 5% of the market. If you think about it, like of the people that really love and enjoy bikes, maybe 5% of them actually race. And then there's this entire contingent of the 95% that just love bikes and are passionate about it and want to ride on the weekends. And that's sort of mostly like who I want to cater to, and maybe just take a little bit of that knowledge and experience from the racing scene and just bring it to the average person. And hopefully that gets them out on bikes and a little bit more of in a controlled manner, because there certainly is a method to it. Like it's, like we built a whole curriculum on it. Like you got to start off with your controls. If you don't have good control use, then nothing else really works after that. And once you've got your control use, well, then you need your body position. That's got to all be correct. And once you've got your body position correct, then you got to work on your vision. Once your vision's correct, well, then it comes down to your synergy. Can you use all of that in sync with the track? And if you're missing any of those steps along the way, it's always say this, that the reason a rider crashes is basically just the thing that they're lacking. Right? Like if you have fantastic throttle control, like if you're really smooth with your throttle, that's a good thing. That's not going to be the reason you crash. Let's say you're just fully on and off with your back brake. Well, that's probably going to be the reason you crash. So that's the thing that you need to fix. So yeah, that's what the coaching app's about, mate. So
there you go. What's I got a bunch of things listed on the phone here that we can talk about, but
yeah, go for it.
I want to ask your opinion too. Like obviously motocross as a sport, like the amount of tracks that you see closing down over the last few years. I just lost my local track, which is Coolum. Like I think at the end of this year it's gone. Like
that sucks.
Coolum's done.
Coolum's iconic.
It was amazing. It was one of the best tracks in Australia. I'd like to say. And then like I grew up sort of just 15, 20 minutes from Wagga Wagga track. Like does that even go anymore, or is it just like a club day track? Or I wouldn't actually know.
Yeah, so it went through a few changes. I think Jacko Strong took it over for a bit, and then the club at Wagga is actually really, really active. They do a fantastic job, but you're bang on with where you're going. It's clubs are run by volunteers, and volunteers are they're in high demand. Like they're pretty scarce, and you'll see people come and go. Like when their kids are interested in it, the parents will come and volunteer and be in it, but it's not so much sustainable. So you do see clubs come and go just through lack of participation sort of thing. And then you will see them getting shut down due to the noise, which sucks as well. So it's a tricky one, that one. I mean, people don't like electric bikes, but I'll tell you what, they solve a lot of problems, man.
What's your thoughts on this? Like, well, Stark. That's it.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
I'll just say it, like, I think they're the future, 110%. I think they're an option for the future. Let me word that better. They're an option for the future where the sport could never possibly go away and it can always prosper and survive, because You could be riding a Stark in the backyard right now. We wouldn't know about it.
No idea.
Yeah.
They're quieter than a push bike.
110%. And believe it or not, if you're a Stark hater, and I'm no Stark salesman by any means, I've given a few away, that's it. They're a ton of fun, man. They're a ton of fun. Like on the performance side, which is cool, you know, like we'd love to go fast and have fun. But on the, like when you look at the sport long term, I think Starks are really going to benefit it and help it in that sense. And then even from a coaching aspect, like they're fantastic. You know, I could go and I haven't done this yet, but I hope to do it one day is if I had a private facility, the first thing I'd go and do was buy 10 Starks.
Yep.
And I'd say any first time beginner riders, you want to come and learn how to ride, come out here, jump on a Stark. You can put it on 10 horsepower. The thing barely goes faster than walking speed. Like it's perfect for a beginner rider.
Yeah.
And if you want to take that a step further, it's got a phone that goes in the bar pad.
Yep.
You could have a coaching tutorial in that as you're riding around. And you could be practicing your drills, and you could do that in your backyard 24/7 if you so desired. Like the amount of issues that removes and how much easier it makes it to get involved and get started in the sport. I can't see any negatives from it. I obviously, you know, the hardcore enthusiast, which I am one, probably more so than anyone, you know, you won't have the sound and stuff like that, but look, if you love the sport, you want them in it.
It's a small loss for a massive gain. Like you're saying is, like I'm two-stroke through and through. I love two-strokes, but you know, that noise when you're at a track where there's houses 5Ks away, they're going to hear that all weekend. Yeah. Like it's just part of it. If you can be on a Stark, like you're saying, on the other side of that fence, you'll never know. You might see them, but you'll never know. And it's the next thing, whether it comes into stadiums and all that sort of thing. Like you're not going to be annoying people. No one's going to know. Like you see kids now, they're on those Suron bikes everywhere through the streets. You wouldn't have a clue.
100%.
But it used to be 10 years ago, like 110 pit bike, and they've zoomed on the street, no exhaust on them, and they're pissing everyone off. And now it's just not an issue. Like it's...
Yeah, no, you're dead right. And I think too, just the ease of them as well. Like, you know, I don't know exactly what it is, but they certainly appeal to a wider market. And I have a pretty good gauge of what bikes people are into just through, you know, we've given away 33 bikes and I just do polls, and basically like my job is in a sense to pick the most desired bikes, and you get a good feel for it after a while. And there's a massive crowd of people that are interested in the electric stuff that have never been in the sport before, whether it be through the Surons or the parents with the Stasics or the older fellas on the Starks. Let's say you kept all the people on combustion engines that we have now. I reckon you're nearly going to get probably that same amount on the electric bikes over time, just through people that are able to get into the sport. You're converting people from the mountain bike side as well. And as someone who loves the sport, I think that's unreal, and it should be encouraged. Obviously, you know, they've got the battery and it goes flat and stuff like that. But
I was going to ask that. How's that affected? Obviously, like combustion, you just fill it up, 30 seconds, you're gone. Like with a battery, what's it affected like? Because I haven't ridden one yet.
Yeah.
Is it something that's like you've got to really plan out your day? You go, all right, now I've got 2 hours of riding, let's go hard, and then that's it for the day? Or is it?
To a degree, but, you know, everyone goes, oh, the battery goes flat, Your bike runs out of fuel too.
Yeah.
And about in the same time that your battery goes flat. So it's not too different, to be honest. Like, obviously, you got to wait about an hour for it to recharge. But for the average punter, like the day I rode one properly, I went to Chesney Vale Ride Park, and they have 20-minute sessions, which is probably how much the average rider could ride max. You're not doing much more than that on a motocross track. And you could ride for 20 minutes, plug it into the charger for 10 minutes, it's full again. Or let's say 20 minutes, it's full again, do your 20. Like, you'll go all day without being annoyed that it's got a battery. You wouldn't even know, so to speak. Now, you do have to buy a generator.
Yeah.
Ozone
But
layer.
even motocross days, most people have a generator anyway.
Yeah, 100%.
Like you've got, I'm trying to think what it would be for, but when you're running out of a van, you've got fans going and tools and whatever it might be, just stuff charging. Like, it's 90% of people now have a generator. Like, it's not a big loss to having an electric bike.
No, and it's funny we bring up the generator. Like, the average hater of the Stark, and I should have a Stark hat on or something, but I don't ride a Stark, nor do I care about the net zero emissions, any of that, right? Like, whatever, that's another topic for another day. The Stark is the fastest bike ever made, number one, and they're good for the sport. That's all I care about. That's literally all I care about. Yeah, they don't, you know, burn up the ozone layer or whatever, but...
do you really think a 250 two-strokes making much of a difference compared to a massive truck out on the road or, plane in the sky or whatever. There's millions of things that
Yeah.
is one motorbike making that much of a difference.
No, but I think like the electric
Yeah.
ones, they get a bit of that stigma because
Yeah.
they're electric, this, that. But it's not about that.
It's like the Tesla debate.
Yeah,
You got a Tesla, you want to save the world, but like my parents have copped it. Oh,
Yeah.
mum's got a Tesla. Oh, you're trying to save the world, and she's like, yeah, my other car's a Ram. Like it's a complete opposite. Like
Yeah, for everyone, I'm banging on about Starks. I've got a Mustang in the driveway too.
Yeah,
So it's not about that. But no, they're quick, man. They are quick bikes.
yeah,
I'll tell you what.
One day I'll get on one. I don't know when
One
or
in the
how,
garage.
but
We'll do it tonight.
oh fuck yeah, don't tempt me.
Let's go. Come on.
All right, but yeah, like it's just. Yeah, it's a way I see forward in the industry that's going to keep the next generation going. Like KTM's got like is it the 50s or 60s now, the electric ones?
Yeah,
The
KTM.
minis?
I think they've definitely got 50s. I think they've brought out a 60, or they are soon.
Yeah.
And then the Stasics are really, really popular. Yeah, it's trending that way for sure.
Do you see, because one of the boys that is close to me up home, he lives around the corner, is Stegsy, so Steg Pegs.
Yeah.
He's got two little boys and they're always out on their little mini motorbikes, like just electric ones.
Yeah.
And I see that and I go, oh, that's when my first bike was like a CR50 and then you go to a KTM, like big wheel, a small wheel, whatever, two-stroke. Now they're ripping them around and no one absolutely knows. Like it's the first step to training in motocross and that's the way it's going.
Oh, it's perfect, mate. Yeah, like you couldn't script it any better, to be honest. Like you don't need to maintain it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make noise. You can get on it at a younger age. Like if you're looking at if you take a wider lens and you just don't get, butt hurt in the comment section about, electric this and electric that, it couldn't be any better for the sport. It's perfect in that sense. So I think they're around for good for sure. And they should be welcomed as well. Yeah. And I don't sell Starks.
Not an ambassador.
Not yet.
Yet. Sort of coming off the back of that, like progressing the sport, how do you see things like the boys like Jet Lawrence, Hunter Lawrence going over to the States? Sort of like when I grew up racing, you had Chad Reed. Yep. Now everyone coming up in the juniors or seniors now, they're looking up to the Lawrence brothers. How do you see that sort of making a difference for the sport now? Like, is it a fresh boost? Have you noticed it in the industry or?
It's definitely good. Yeah, it's unreal. I think they have huge potential to bring in the outside market into the sport. So like the mainstream media. And I'm hoping, you see this happen a lot with, those ultra competitive riders, which Jet's probably going to be the best of all time.
Yeah.
Is at some point you have to weigh up, are we here for the media and for the public, or are we here to win races and make money? And it's a balance sort of thing. Like back in the day, Jeremy McGrath was going on. I think it was a late night show with Conan O'Brien and all that sort of stuff. Like they would market and promote the sport. If Jet decided to take that route, which I wouldn't blame him if he didn't, and I think they're maybe steering away from it, the potential there is just, it's huge. Like we see James Stewart, he did it a bit. He had Bubba's World.
Yeah.
I was actually listening to something the other day. They were going to do a movie with Tom Cruise with James Stewart. I can't remember what it was, but you can look it up. Someone just did an interview. Yeah, it was 100%. Like it was all locked in. It didn't happen for some reason, but I think Jet has that sort of potential. Whether they're doing proper movies about him, just like they do about athletes in other sports and that sort of stuff. But then there's the question of, is that his job? Not really. Yeah, it's to win races.
He's still in that zone where he's dedicated to racing. Obviously, last injury, which changes things a bit, but like probably his main competition, like being even Deegan coming up now, that's a whole new line. And when you say like going mainstream, doing movies, all that, like Brian did his his Bloodline and all that sort of stuff, and them having a YouTube channel, which is everyone knows everything about that family.
100%.
It's online, and it's almost made them numb to a camera. Like they go out, they don't even care, camera's there. They're used to the limelight of the fame and all that sort of thing. Like they're the new generation of the Chad Reed, Ricky Carmichael, James Stewart, Kevin Windham, all those boys that were top tier that we looked up to when we were juniors. That now the new juniors come through, and even us ourselves still watching these young blokes come through and going, holy shit,
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, no, 100%. And yeah, like if we're talking in terms of is Rider X, whether it's Jet or Hayden, going to benefit the sport? I think the sport on the inside is strong, like the consumer market and the people that are involved in it and the diehards and that watch the races. I think to truly benefit you, you're bringing in people from the outside in,
yep,
and growing it that way. And if there's a rider that's doing that, it's the Degans,
yep,
big time. Like I don't know if you keep up to date with it, but like anytime he's in the pits, there's a lineup of 100, 200 people.
oh, it's insane.
It's
crazy.
insane, and it's all been done by what I was just saying before through reaching out and doing that they're making that media effort. They're doing the YouTubes, they're doing all the vlogs, they're doing all that sort of stuff. It doesn't seem to be distracting him from his results, which is cool. I mean, he's got his dad. He knows that world inside out and how to draw attention and create the hype. So I think what they've done is fantastic. I'd love to see the Lawrences start doing.
Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't love to see. It'd be cool if they did. It'd be cool if they did. Like and did what Hayden was doing.
yep,
But at the end of the day, you're there to win races, and that's your job. Whereas, I think what Hayden has done is, and obviously probably more so what Brian has done is, that's cool. Like he's what I would call like mainstream, bringing people in from the outside of the sport in. Yeah. Whereas the Lawrences seem to be a little bit more, popular and loved by those in the sport. I'm not too sure if they've reached outside the sport as much, if that makes sense.
I sort of see where you're going with it. Yeah,
'Cause
it's like even like you've got when you have Bubba's World and all that sort of stuff, and that's sort of like the modern day Degans, really. Like, and it's I'm trying to think of there's a couple more riders out there that are slowly getting into their YouTube and filming what they're doing, but it's not the same entertainment factor of like what the Degans are doing. Like it's just so in there, out there, and they're so fast and consistent with their video turnarounds.
Yeah,
like
it's nuts. And I guess to make it a little more relative to anyone watching, like to compare it, like I didn't really know about the UFC until Conor McGregor.
Fair.
And he blew that sport up, right? Just helped one athlete who transcended the sport, and he was able to reach out and get people's attention in the mainstream media and pulled it into the UFC. Now, I've been a fan of UFC ever since, purely because of him. It was always a great sport, but he just had that personality which got people's attention, whether you were into the sport or not. Now, I think Hayden has that personality and potential. I think Jet has that personality and potential. And like, obviously I'm biased, but I think motocross is just as good as UFC, if not better.
Yeah.
It's just taken like maybe one rider to really blow it up and go and do all those sorts of things. But if you'll see with like a UFC event, the marketing they do in the lead up to a fight, it's pretty intense.
Yeah,
like they do a full media, like world tours, 6 weeks. Like it's probably more so their job to promote the fight than have the fight to a degree. And I'd love to see motocross do that one day, and it just takes that one rider, which I think is probably more so Hayden than Jet, to be honest. But I think Jet's going to be the greatest rider of all time for sure.
Yeah,
if he's not already,
definitely up there. Like, he's already cemented his name in history books. Really, like perfect season,
100%.
that type of stuff. Like, it's pretty insane for blokes to. You can jump on YouTube and search their stories. We don't have to ramble on about it, but it goes on for what they've been through, what they've done. Everyone looks at them and goes, "Oh, like I'm sure Deegan cops it too. Oh, it must be nice having all Dad's money, and now because he's got money, he's the best rider in the world." It's like, have you seen what they've done? They've had like Lawrence, perfect example. They basically had nothing. They're over in Europe, racing
100%.
bikes, just trying to chase a dream. But now they've got that dream. It's just like, oh, you've done. It's tall poppy syndrome.
Oh, for sure.
It's exactly what it is.
I actually think growing up with money and like with more support as a kid is a detriment to a degree, right? Because if you don't have to learn how to do anything yourself, you have atrophy. Like, and atrophy is like if you don't go to the gym and build your muscles, you don't have muscles, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to work the muscle to get it bigger. If you grow up with nothing and you've had to do it hard and you've had to learn those steps and gain that experience yourself and go through the trial and error, you're building that muscle of resilience, and basically what that turns into is success. Yeah. And if you grow up spoon-fed, like I think it could be any, like it's probably the worst thing. Now, obviously, Brian Deegan had money and was already successful, but yeah, I think Hayden, you can just see it. The kid works hard. It's not given to him. You can't fake it. You can't fake it at that level.
Like if you can't just go give a random kid off the streets right now, let's just say an unlimited budget and go, you've got a year to be the best in the world. It's not going to happen. No. It's born that way. Like you've got to be born and raised into the sport to do it. And then obviously he's got to get to a point of his own age where he goes, do you want to keep doing this for the rest of your life, whether it's at 5 years old, 10 years old, 20 years old?
Yeah.
Like, how do you know your kid's going to be the one that's going to be good if you put all the time and money into it?
Yeah, it's crazy, mate. There's so many factors that go into it, and everybody will see one success story and goes, oh, you just got to do it like that. But they quickly forget about the 100 that it didn't work out with. Like, you know, I don't know if anyone will follow the sport this closely, but say Evan Ferry, I believe he won the Monster Energy Cup, the junior rider a couple of years ago. Where's he now?
Yeah.
He's struggling to get in the top 20, top 15. So that's a rider you would have swore would have done it all and won, but didn't. And then there's maybe like an Adam Cincerello where it's just a couple injuries and derails the whole thing, and he should be winning championships now. Like you can go down the list. There are so many riders that even got to the dance and it looked like it was going to work out for them and still didn't. And then you go right back down to the kids at 7, 10, 12, 16 that, you know, most common stories, you sort of turn 16, you find girls and partying and off you go. Yeah. And that'll deter most, but yeah, so many things have to line up to make it work. It's anyone that thinks it's easy's never done anything hard.
It's delusional.
100%. Yeah. Obviously, biased, but it is the hardest sport in the world when you look at the risk of it. You know, like think about swimming. You could almost just sort of set out a plan, like a routine and a schedule, and say, do this for 4 years, you'll get successful. Yeah. Motocross is so far from that. There's so many variables. Like you got the bike, you got injuries, you got tracks. It's just, there's so much more that goes into it. Yeah. No hate on swimming, but
I know, probably the last little bit on that. Like I know, injuries and stuff in the sport scared me off a bit. Like I was at Coolum one year, watched my mate Jezza get paralysed. Like it's, you know, stuff like that scares you. Even though I was a little bit younger at the time, I was at the race day where Andrew McFarlane died. Yeah, had absolutely no idea what was going on then, but now it's just like, oh shit, like, and then watch one of your best mates get his back broken. Like, there's stuff in the sport that makes you sit there and go, what am I doing? Mm-hmm. Like, every ride could be the end. It could be, which is, you know, to sum up a couple of major things into one thing of how many people are doing it. It's like, you know, go jump in your car, you're going to be in a car crash. Not always, but it's the risk reward factor that comes back into the sport.
I actually had one of those moments now you mention it, and I was just never the same since.
Yeah.
And I was in Tasmania. I was at the Straight River, and the track was built. It was like on a water table. You know when there's water under the ground, it like bounces. And anyway, it was the first race, whatever. I took a different line off the triple up ramp. I went right off to the right-hand side, and it must have been really soft under there. Yeah. I lost all my momentum, and there's actually a video of it on the internet. I came up really short on the triple, went over the front, jumped. Anyway, I landed on the top, like on my legs. I looked down, I sat up and I looked down, and all I could see was one leg. Oh. My femur had snapped right at the top, just under the hip. And on no word of a lie, it was here. My boot was I was like using my boot as a pillow. So I looked down, I just seen one leg. I freaked out and I sort of sat up. And as I sat up, my boot went down beside me. Ever since, man, I've just been like, I remember I'd be driving and like I'd pull out in an intersection. I'd just have a flash like, fuck is that? Like, I don't know what it was, but something ever since then, it was just like you mentioned that. Yeah, I was never quite the same after that one, to be honest.
Yeah.
Bit of a gross story.
Bit of like accident, crash, trauma type stuff, yeah.
I guess so, yeah.
Weird one to explain, but yeah.
No, that's what it is.
Yeah, I've gone completely off topic, I suppose, but social media and that, like, I know where we started talking more recently, like, you know, I've seen, he's doing giveaways and then he's stirring up the internet with whatever it might be.
And then,
like, there was times where we swapped a few messages and you're like, oh, am I doing this right? Or like, what can I improve? And you'll always, every time we talked, you're always like, what can I do better? And now I sit here and go, I think you would have probably 10, 20,000 followers on Instagram when we first sort of started really chatting.
Yeah.
And then you've obviously everything that's happened, you've just blown up. Like I want to talk about like, you know, riding across the Murray, and, jumping across it and whatever else is going on and, you know, different tricks and ploys and everything that you're doing with your marketing. You know, you like stirring up the LG community. Fuck it.
LJ, that's TV.
Yeah. Oh, the fucking. I don't know how many fucking alphabet
The
letters
alphabet
they want
mafia.
now. Yeah. The plus community.
Yeah,
Fucking
yeah.
every man and their dog.
The mentally disordered.
Mentally challenged.
Yeah. Getting cancelled.
Oh, fuck. What are they going to do?
There's only 3 genders. No, I appreciate that. For those at home, they'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's social media. It's a funny world. To me, it's an alternate reality. So nothing that works on the internet works in real life. Nothing that works in real life works on the internet. And I just draw a complete parallel between the two of them. This is what you do over here. This is what you do over there. Like the way I, will sometimes talk or act on the internet isn't the way I'll be in person.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Like it's good to have good morals and values and you like, let's say in person, you want to talk slow and look in people's eyes and you want to really think about what you're saying and take your time. If you do that on the internet, scroll. Like
Yeah, it's not engaging.
it's not like it's just complete opposite. So it's like 2 different realities. Whereas on the internet, if you yell and scream for a minute, everyone's going to pay attention.
Yeah.
When you walk in the door today, I'm not going to yell and scream at you. Like it's just 2 different realities, and you got to do that with the hate on there as well because some people are just nuts. Absolute nutters, mate. Like I tell you what, it's fun. Like you brought up the alphabet soup.
That's a good way of saying it.
Man, I was getting death threats for months.
Yeah.
Months and months. Even my partner, my mum, like that was next level. But again, it's a different world. Like it's the internet. They'd never do that in person. It's just the way it is. So I look at it as like a game. It's fun. And yeah, it's it's interesting. It's the same as anything. Like you say, blow up or whatever. But it's just time and effort. Like you put time and effort into it. You mentioned the 10,000 hours earlier, and you figure it out, and off you go. And I have by no means have figured it out, but
I don't think anyone has.
No, it's just it's a weird world, man. Like it's to a degree, I've got a bit of a method that I use, and that's you got to do like real world things that are respected, and then you got to get attention.
Yeah.
And then you do things that are like crossing the river. It involved courage. It showed initiative, and that was just something that anybody sort of respected. But if I did that without getting attention in the lead up to that, nobody probably would have known I did it.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to you got to bounce between the 2 worlds of doing things that are respected and like show good qualities in the real world, but then you also got to pair them with being out there and getting the attention on the internet, and you can kind of like that's basically just what my method is. So
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems to be working.
Getting their engagement by keeping them to stick around and see what's going on.
Yeah, like you got to get people talking, and the best way to get attention is through negativity, typically.
Yeah, drama.
Yeah,
Drama gets everyone talking.
Yeah, so like you could go out. It's easy to be an idiot, and you can go and do that, and everyone's like, "Have you fucking seen what he's doing, this and that?" And then everyone will be talking about you, but then you got to go and do something to back it up that everyone respects.
Yeah,
something cool, and then it's like, well, now we know about him, now we like him. Now we know about him, now we like him, and that sort of That's been my little method to it, I guess. And obviously we've done the stunts crossing the river, and flying the kite bike was fun, and a few other things like that work. But if you just jump on there and be an idiot, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
And then if you're just doing cool stuff but no one knows about it, that doesn't work either. So
yeah, it's a fine line. Like you're juggling either, like you say, juggling either side of it. Like where do you go down a path where it's all just reputation, or where do you go it so you can grow that reputation, but it's maybe on the riskier side of, are you going to get cancelled or something for it? Which I think cancel culture's gone. You can only really cancel yourself, I think. It's one of those things, like people can hang shit on you all day and run you down to the ground. It's as soon as you accept that, that's when you've been beaten by it, I reckon.
Yeah, 100%. And that the wise words, comments on the internet. Like you can't get on the internet and not think you're going to get hate.
Yeah.
And if you're doing that, then you're the person in the wrong, because you're just going to get it no matter what. It's human nature. Like it's duality. It's one of the Newton's laws. Like there's no good without bad. There's no sunshine without dark. It's just the way it is. So if you're going to be on the internet, accept the fact that people are going to talk shit about you, and you're going to get hated and da-da-da. And it's personally, the more of that, the better, I think. Like
it's still a follower. It's still someone engaging, and it's someone that's pushing your algorithm to see other people. Like it's, whether it's, like the way socials works, and, we've talked about it heaps, like the more people commenting on your stuff and sharing your stuff and liking your stuff, the more people that are going to see it. And like say in our cases where you do have a website, a shop, or an entry to a bike giveaway, it's the person that didn't know about you before is going to see that and buy something, and then they're going to be a fan and a follower, and it's just forever growing that audience.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, like obviously attention's the front end metric, like, and that gets people to see you, but then you still got to like, I reply to every single DM, every single comment, like you still got to be a good person. Otherwise, like, there's a difference between people that, will view your content and people that will, like invest in your content. So, it's easy to be a dickhead and get eyeballs, but do those people actually, like you or invest in you, So the difference between viewers or fans, they call it. And that takes, it's time and effort. Like you got to give value in some form. You got to give quality in some form. And you got to be a good person. You got to be likable, which, it's such a balance. I don't know. It is for me anyway. Like, sometimes I do things like, fuck, shouldn't have done that. And then other times you'll do things, that worked all right. Like you just learn and go, and it's a funny world.
It's how do you follow with like what was his name, like Mark Hall, like
Mark Hall, your mate.
when like, when you call someone out on the internet, it can be good and bad. Like it can go one way of, I've done it before and I had a shit ton of people turn on me and gone, oh fuck, maybe I won't do that again.
Really?
And it's, you've taken it in a way where you're going, fuck, let's just keep going and going and going. And like it was like, you see where I'm going with this? Like it's, where do you draw the line of this person isn't a public figure? Like, where's it stop? Where's it start?
Yeah, it's it's kind of bad, but like getting into altercations, it brings out the best of me in terms of content. But it's, you can't, if someone else starts it, I think it's fair game.
Yep.
Back you go. Yeah. And maybe go one more after, and that's it. Yeah.
Just keep jabbing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the internet at the end of the day. Like, you can't give me shit, not expect to get shit back. Like, it's just the way it goes. But you do have to draw a line. Like, obviously, I'm starting to tidy up a little bit, I guess you would say. I certainly hold back.
You have to sometimes.
Like, you have to, yeah. Like, you can't be a dick. And, you got to think about one of my favorite sayings is that the people that mind don't matter and the people that matter don't mind. So, like if my family see me doing certain things, they're like, oh, fuck, he's been Kale again. But, it doesn't change our in-person relationship because, they're the people that matter. So whatever I do, they don't necessarily mind. They know who you are.
Yep.
And then the people that mind and that don't like what you're doing and might get up in arms, like they don't actually know who you are. So they don't really matter.
Yeah.
Like they're not your circle.
Another Karen on the internet looking for a reason to be angry that Thursday morning.
Yeah, and there's an abundance of them, mate. You don't have to give them much of a reason either.
No.
But then there's, it is a bit of a dynamic I struggle with sometimes. Like, I want to be entertaining and have fun and do that sort of stuff. But then on the other hand, like I'm trying to reform coaching in motorcycling, and a lot of that involves kids and parents. So it's like, you have to draw you have to be sensible to some degree.
Yep.
But geez, it's fun.
Yeah, it's got to be. How have you taken on with obviously battling and crossing that line with the last major stunt, the kite bike?
Yeah.
Everything's happening there. You put up a post, like, cease and desist, all that sort of stuff, like coming after you. What was your reactions with that when you got that one? Because obviously it happened a little bit of time after everything went down. What's been the follow on? Yeah,
so this relates back to what we were just saying. I'm pretty positive on it because someone reported me to CASA. So for those that don't know, CASA is civil aviation something. And they control the airways and all of the air basically. And somebody reported me to them. Now, I won't say it on the podcast, but I'm 99.99999% sure I know who it was.
Yeah.
And that may have been from a bit of a feud on the internet.
Right.
So would I be better off not doing that? Maybe I wouldn't have got reported, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. I don't care either way, but obviously I when you put yourself out there and you do stir a few people up, like, and you live a public life, like it's just inevitable that you're going to get reported and flagged and things like that. But yeah, to get one from Casa, I didn't quite see that one coming, to be honest.
Yeah.
So for those that don't know, anything that prolongs its flight due to the atmosphere is considered an aircraft. So if you jump up on that roof right now and put some cardboard tape to your arms and jump off, and you're able to like glide an extra meter than without it, you're technically an aircraft. Once you're technically an aircraft, you're under all the red tape rules and regs of flying. Yep. Yeah. So that I did not know. To me, I didn't even think about it as flying. It's the broadest term possible of flying.
Yeah.
Like it's not prolong your flight by more than 10 foot. It's not, for more than a second. It's just prolonged your flight due to the atmosphere. So
yeah.
if you get a speed bump in your car and you get a gust of wind from the back end and it pushes you along, you technically flew. I'm serious.
Yeah, right. It's like I've never heard of that before. Like never heard of that.
I was pretty happy when I didn't hear about it, but that's how it works. So I've jumped a motorbike bigger than what I flew the kite bike. So for those that don't know, the kite bike's a hang glider attached to a motorbike. Turns out if you go along at the right speed, at the right angle, you can lean back and the thing will do a nice little flight.
Yeah.
But I've jumped a motorcycle further.
Yeah.
For over a decade. So I'd never really considered it like flying as such. But anyway, someone dobbed me in. Thanks for that. And you dog. Yeah. So now there's an investigation into the kite bike, and they've sent me a cease and desist. So they said don't do it again. And there's an investigation ongoing. I don't know the outcome of that yet, but the penalty listed is 2 years imprisonment. Now, I've spoken to someone on the phone, like from Casa, and he was lovely. He was a great guy. He was fantastic. But it kind of reminded me of, when you get a fine from the police, like they're always nice, but you still get the fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't really know how to take it yet. I don't know when I'll find out, to be honest. Yeah,
just going to be one of those things.
Yeah, I mean, my missus hates it when I say this, but if I went to jail for flying the kite bike, like I'd be pretty happy with that. To be honest, like that's probably the coolest jail sentence of all time. Yeah, I mean, if we're going for like story value, it's got to be up there.
What are you in here for? I murdered someone. What are you in here for? I jumped a bike across a river.
Check this out.
It's what, one of the top 10 most viewed reels or something on Instagram, or
yeah, it's up in there now. Yeah, I think it's at I don't know where it's at. It's
150 million or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, it's
insane.
It's going.
Make any revenue off that?
Anything to
call home?
Nah, we can talk about that. But yeah, I did it in my own way. But what was I about to say?
Well, obviously that all turns into eyes, because when that happened, I was like, something's going to happen here. I don't know what it is, but something's going to happen. And I started watching your account daily. I was like, 10,000 followers, 10,000 followers, 10,000 followers, another 10 million views. And I was just like, this is blowing up big. Like, most people knew about it, and especially I'd say anyone that was in somewhat of a motorbike background, everyone had seen that video. Like, it went nuts.
Yeah, I think it's at 180 million views. The population of Australia is 24 million. To like give context to, I guess, like the size of it. Yeah. Which is cool, but I mean, it's all numbers at the end of the day. But yeah, it's certainly, it's funny. I posted that video, not like, I'd already jumped the river at that point.
Yeah.
So I'll put a little teaser out, just jumping in the paddock. And that's actually the one that went viral for some reason. But yeah, no, it's cool. And it all works. Like, it's all brand building, and it all leads back to everything else that I'm doing. And it's probably the best form of attention, because it links back to all those, real world things. Like, it shows the courage and the initiative and all that sort of stuff. It was kind of a home run, that one. It's good fun. I loved it. I wish I could do it more.
Yeah.
But, maybe it just makes the story better if I do it one more time. And
same thing like we were talking about earlier, like injuries come into play and all that sort of stuff. And
with the kite bike?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually broke 4 ribs, enlarged spleen, and tore a muscle in there on the last jump. So people can watch it on YouTube. But I don't know, I must have landed. I'd already hurt my ribs, and I landed with my arm out.
Yeah.
And I got no idea.
It just happened.
Yeah, that was it. So that was like 2 months ago. I haven't ridden since.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a bugger. But.
Little one before I got a few quick fire questions at the end.
Yep.
I'll do it for everyone, sort of change them here and there. But Where do you sort of see like MWMX going and like everything in, say, the future, the next 5 years?
Yep. So I want to be a net positive for the sport. The way I want to do that is starting at the bottom. So just working with the average rider, try and bring more in, and then the ones that do come in, give them better quality so they stay in the sport. I'm obviously doing that now through the online platform with the app. And I'd love to have some trainer facilities around Australia. So similar to what like Millsap's training facility is in America or Club MX, and bring that to Australia, because I think they really benefit the sport over there.
Yep.
It just hasn't necessarily been done on that scale in Australia. So once the app's, like is sort of sufficient, I'll work on getting something in person, and ideally you'd have, I don't know, 3 or 4 of those, one in each state, each popular state, and that's it, mate. Go from there, and then just look after the family and do all that sort of stuff. And
obviously bring more people into the coaching side of things and all that, or it's still going to remain yourself, or?
Nah, like I'll grow it to the moon if it can. Yeah, like I'd love to reach as many people as possible. Like, like I'm the type of person that even if you put $1 billion in my bank account, I'm going to go and do the same thing still tomorrow. Like I just enjoy doing it. It's what I want to do. So yeah, I'm interested to see what the ceiling is on on everything that I am doing. Like I know, say Motorcycling Australia has 34,000 members. 15,000 of those are in the sport of motocross, so like actually race motocross.
Yep.
I just know like for the giveaway side, I think we're up to 40,000 people. So that's 40,000 that have interest in motorcycles. Where can that go to? I'm not like, what is the industry size, I guess? And then how many of them can you get on bikes and get at training facilities and get at races, and basically just like, can you grow up from that bottom up sort of perspective? I'm not too interested in the professional racing side of the sport. I think there's too much attention on that and too much resource spent on that.
Yep.
It's cool, it's entertaining, and professional racing's unreal, but at the end of the day, like 99% of effort and resource in the sport gets put into the top 1%. And I don't think that's a healthy way to, to go about it. I think that needs to be more towards the bottom, and that's just what I enjoy doing. So, that's the goal there. I don't even know if you call it a goal, because I just enjoy doing it. You gotta have your plans, but
that's the thing. Like everyone says, do something you love. So, and if you love what you do, it makes it easy. So
100%, mate. Like obviously, I ran a concrete business. So I did quite well with that, and money, blah blah blah, and fuck, I was miserable. So miserable. I just hated it, mate. To the point where like I was thought about jumping out the door of the plane one day. I was just like, I wasn't suicidal, but I'm like, fucking obviously didn't feel like I had too much to live for. Like I was just making money, and
I remember when you talked about that on I think it was stories or reels or something like that, and that was
a big thing. Like I kind of got everything I thought I wanted, like materialistic, hedonistic things, and I was like, fuck's just it. Like, it's got to be, what am I waking up for tomorrow, sort of thing. Like I was not depressed by any means, but it was just, you have those thoughts and those realities, and it was from that point on that I got out of concrete and figured out it's bikes that I love, and that's what has set me off on this path, which is probably, I don't know, 16 months ago, something like that. It was October of 2023.
Jeez.
October 2022, sorry.
2022.
It's about 18 months, something like that.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's crazy how we were talking about it when I got here. Like similar thing happened to me. I had 12 years of plastering, and I just got to a point where I was like, what am I doing anymore? And for me, I did a massive trip away, forward driving with mates, all that, and I got back and I've gone, I can go back to work, or I can keep doing this what I love.
Yep.
But then I was figuring out, how can I do what I love, but also make it beneficial to everyone else around me and also myself. Like it's all right, how do I afford to do this, but how do I give back to the people that are supporting me do it?
Yep.
And it was one of those moments where I've gone, very similar situation. Like I'm miserable at plastering. I'm working 5 to 7 days a week, 12, 14-hour days sometimes. Didn't have a relationship.
Yeah.
Didn't have the best relationship with mates and friends and that, because I was always working for the dollar.
Yep.
And it got to a point where I pivoted and I've gone, no, this is what I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and good stuff. And good on you for doing that. You've been killing it with that. It's awesome to see. And it doesn't mean like if anyone, say it was like an 18-year-old listening and they're grinding away making money, it doesn't mean don't do that. Yeah. But, you'll you got to go through both, I think, to appreciate it. Like if you always just had the dream life, it probably wouldn't seem like the dream life kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's a give and take. It's a balance. I just think whatever you're doing, you should do it. Go all in and make firm decisions and choices and go this direction or that direction. And yeah, it always pays off if you do that.
I always tell people that, like, what are you scared to try? And like,
Yep.
if you're an employee at a company, you know, if you're doing an apprenticeship, definitely I recommend finish the apprenticeship, like get some sort of trade career under your belt. But after that, like if you're going to work for the company for the next 50 years of your life, it's what you're missing out on, not what you're gaining. Like you're still going to be doing the exact same thing, work for someone else. If jump out, try do it for yourself, do what you want to love. Like people go, oh, I wish I could go do that, but I've got a job. If you leave tomorrow, your boss is going to get someone else. It's the same thing as a number in a trade. Like people say they're not replaceable, but everyone's replaceable in a job.
Yep.
It's, you know, your skill, your memory, mindset might be different to others, but at some point everyone's replaceable. And I think that's a big thing that I learnt was, you know, swapping and changing jobs, doing a bit what I love. You know, this week I want to try a bit of concrete or fencing or whatever. Like I built pallets for a bit.
Yep.
It's like, didn't even know it was a job, but I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. Got to a point where I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. But I've found this that I want to keep doing. And it's just, just go out and try it. So.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. And it's, you know, it's sort of two different mindsets. Like I see people go down either like what you would say our path or someone else's path. And one's like one's sort of a little bit out of fear. They don't want to leave their job and do something different because, you know, they'd lose their security and might get criticized. And then the other one's out of hope. Like, is there something better? Is there something more that I can do? Yeah. And I think people are just, you know, you're either one or the other. You know, like typically females will be more security minded and want just a consistent regular thing and want to be guaranteed that they're, you know, got the same stuff and not so much go out on a limb. And then you'll sort of get a little bit more of the males that are happy to bounce around and do whatever and take the risks. And that doesn't mean either can do the opposite. But it's, you know, I know personally for me, like, yeah, it's just been, I've done so many different things. So many different things. I was delivering firewood for a bit in the truck down to Melbourne, concreting, civil, racing, websites, it's coaching. And you learn a little bit from every one of them. And then eventually I think I've found one that's going to stick. But yeah, like it'd be a shame if I just did the same thing the whole time personally.
I'd like to say that you've put your foot in a position now that like MWMX and yourself, your brand, KALE MAKEHAM, is going to be around forever. Like it's sort of, you've reached a level where you're not going to disappear, but you've got everything to gain. Like there's only going to be more and more people that find about what you're doing and everything you're trying to achieve every day by whether it's jumping on a podcast with myself or getting stories out on Instagram and sharing your story and what you're doing and giving away bikes. Like it's only going to keep progressing.
I appreciate that, mate. Thank you. And it's funny because when I started this, I hated it.
Yeah.
Hated talking on camera. I do not like it. There's actually a video I posted. It's probably about 16 months ago now. I said, I don't like doing this, but I'm going to keep on doing it for 12 months to see if it pays off.
Yeah.
And it was literally 12 months from that day I had something pay off in like a really big way for me. And I was like, fuck, I'm glad I stuck at it. But
yeah, 100%.
It's just one of those things. But yeah, like it's funny to hear you say that. I really do appreciate that. But yeah, for anyone watching, like when I started doing this, it was, fuck, some of the shit I did was so cringy. Just like, I didn't like it. It's just like complete amateur with it. But yeah, I mean, it's just like anything. You do something long enough, you learn and you build and off you go. So time and effort. But.
Easy. There you go. Got some quick fire questions, easy ones to sort of finish off with. Unless you got something else to talk about, but
no, man, we can go forever.
Oh, you can go forever just talking shit, but
yeah, plenty of shit to talk.
So I'm going to here, 2-stroke or 4-stroke, and why?
Two-stroke.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, 4-strokes aren't bad.
Yeah.
I just like bikes. I don't really. Yeah.
All right. Well, to follow up that, it was electrical combustion.
Electrical combustion. Fuck, I'm actually going to say electric.
Yeah, right.
And come at me in the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, they're so quick. They're so fun. They're cool. They're good. And I suck at maintenance.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, well, there'd be no maintenance with them, really.
None. It's got 40 mil of oil in some fucking thing.
Yeah, in a battery cell.
I don't even know where it is. Yeah, there's nothing on here to worry about anyway.
There you go.
Yeah.
Next one, favorite brand of bike.
Favorite brand? I've always had an affiliation with KTM. So, like, just personally, not
This big thing
professionally.
behind us.
Yeah, like my best years were on KTM, so I've always enjoyed those. But I ride Yamahas now, but only because the local shop, which are some of my best mates, run it and sell them. But yeah, if I was to buy a bike, it'd be a blue one or an orange one for sure.
It's funny. KTM's the only bike I've never owned, I think.
Well, there you go. You got a ticket?
Yeah. One day.
Fuck be sus if you won it.
That and a Stark. Yeah, it'd look awkward now if I enter the giveaway and I win.
Yeah,
It's bloody rigged.
I'm pretty strict with that too.
Yeah, it's
I can always take my mates and stuff out. They hate me, but I'm like, I can't do it.
yeah. Well, that's like Stagsy, like because he's had a few, and I'll enter them, and
Yep.
I go, it's weird. Like I'll be sitting here having a beer with you or something on the balcony, and I'll be like, so what happens if I do? And he's like, I just don't think we can do it. I'm just going, fuck. But it's one of those situations.
Yeah, I'm paranoid. Like I'll tell some people like because I see every single name that comes in. I go, sorry, mate, I gotta send your money back. Can't do it. Can't do it.
Do you obviously have like a rule where it's like, all right, immediate family, close friends, stuff like that, or?
The technical rule is anyone that's affiliated with the prize or their immediate family members or employees. That's the actual regulation that's given.
Yeah.
And that's mostly by New South Wales, I believe. Like they're the strictest on that. Other states.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, but yeah, I know that's like the strictest form of it. But yeah, I'll take it. Like one of my groomsmen could enter and win, but I'll pull him out.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't do it. I'm like, he lives around the corner. So yeah. So it's got to happen.
So, someone you look up to.
Someone I look up to. That's a good question. There's a lot of people I look up to. I don't necessarily just look up to one person, but there's many qualities of different people I look up to, and some are weird. Like you could say Marcus Aurelius, who was like a Roman philosopher back in 121 BC, or you could say an Elon Musk now doing all the things that he does. There's heaps. I'm also just take like one thing from a lot of people. There's maybe 10 different people. I think that, I've always done good things, whether that's current or through history. I love reading history, which is probably a weird thing no one would guess, but I'm sort of obsessed with it. So there's a lot of olden day people I like. Napoleon Hill, yeah.
3 of your best tracks in Australia, or favourite tracks in Oz?
I always like Appen.
Yep.
That was mostly because I got good results there. Coonabarabran was fun. I think it's been shut down now. And then there's a track, actually it's that where I did my first ever race in Kundruk. There's a club there.
Yeah, right.
The track's like crap. Like you could fit it inside this room. It's small. It's like a kid's track, but I rode there every day for probably like 2 years once.
Yeah.
Because it was across the road. I used to just go over there and ride.
Just core memories.
Yeah, and it's just like that was where I cut my teeth, sort of thing. So I don't know. I like that for that. Not it's probably like one of the worst tracks you could ever.
There you go. I don't reckon anyone would have guessed them at all.
Nah, yeah, and some of them aren't like the best tracks, but just like them, I guess.
I've got 2 more left. So 3 people that you could do anything with in the world. Who are they, and what would it be?
3 people I could do anything with in the world. Who are they and what would it be?
Yeah.
That's a tricky question.
It's sort of like you can invite 3 people to dinner, dead or alive. Like, I feel like that's been beaten like a dead dog.
Yeah. No, I'm just thinking like, I mean, mine went somewhere it probably shouldn't have.
Don't mention Lizzo, man.
Oh, Lizzo, come here. 3 people, fuck, that I could do anything with. I'd love to spend a day with Travis Pastrana at his house. That'd be sick.
Yeah.
Spending a day there, like doing all the stuff. I reckon that'd be awesome. I'd love to spend a day with Elon Musk and just see how he works, because that motherfucker does so much stuff. It just doesn't make sense.
Yep.
I'd love to see how he does it. I'd be really interested in that. How you juggle so many different things. What's another one? I think you stumped me there. Third person I'll do anything with. I don't know. A podcast with you.
Oh, that's generous.
There you go, mate.
Nothing with the wife or something like that.
Sorry, Dale.
Sorry.
I was leaving women out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't want to take the mind there.
Yeah, no.
And one thing on your bucket item list or bucket list.
One thing on my bucket list. I've always wanted a Lamborghini.
That'd be cool.
I don't know why. Yeah, like I'll scroll car sales probably once a week.
Yep.
Just cause I don't know why. Yeah, like motivation.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to say that.
Just something to go. Yeah, I've done it. Like,
I don't know. I guess I don't know. Maybe I wanted one as a kid or something. It just seems like a nice little carrot to. I could probably buy it, drive it for a day, think it's shit, and sell it or something. But it'd just be cool to own one, I guess. But
there you go.
yeah, it's probably the best answer. But
Oh, you're halfway there. You got a Mustang.
it's a bit of fun.
Yeah, they are. They are very fun.
Yeah.
Oh, bloody, that'll nearly wrap it up. Bloody, what, hour and a half?
Yeah,
Not too bloody bad, mate. So,
not bad, mate. I appreciate you coming down, and I hope you have fun this weekend.
it should be good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's maybe go check out this Stark.
Stark?
Yeah, let's go have a look at this bike.
Yeah. Once this ends, there's going to be a video of you on the Stark. Is that right?
Yeah, we can make that happen. Well, we've been filming a vlog the whole way down to Melbourne.
Oh,
so
there we go.
It'll be on the YouTube somewhere. But
how fast is an 80 horsepower Stark up the road?
Yeah. Big Mac
Coming soon.
Big Mac crashes at Stark on asphalt. Hospital.
No, we can make it happen.
There we go. Jeez.
Is the road wet?
No, it wasn't bad when we got here. So.
Is it raining?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Where can everyone find you and keep up to date with what's going on?
I'm floating about. MWMX, something on Instagram. There's a few different pages. At KALE MAKEHAM 9's my private page. We're doing giveaways. I think we do like $3 a week at the moment, $2 a week on mwmx.com.au. You can go to the MWMX coaching app on the App Store. There's YouTube. Floating about. I'm probably the only person that's got the MWMX initials. So
there you go.
Anything there, you'll find me.
Easy. We'll link it all down below anyway. Make it easy to find. So
no, I appreciate your time, mate, and thanks for the chat. And yeah, if anyone's watched for this long, I'm impressed. But thank you.
Yeah, that's it. No, easy. Well, I'm sure there'll be another time where we'll catch up and do something again. But until then, enjoy this episode. We hope everyone enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.
Legend. Cheers, mate.
Thank you.